Hi guys, it's Krystal Lee Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore, and this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional or entrepreneur in Ontario and Canada. And I'm very, very excited about our episode today. We have a very, very special guest. And just a little bit of a background. I just got to chat with Matt a little bit here. He's going to tell you all about his background, but he is in sunny Vancouver Island today. And that's why technology is so awesome, because we can talk like we're face to face, even though we're a country apart. So Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Krystal. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'll let you just introduce yourself and kind of a little bit about what you do, and then maybe we can get a little deeper.
Sure. So, I'll start by just letting you know kind of how I got involved with real estate and
Hey,
this kind of thing. So it's a bit of a personal story
okay,
that I'll start with, and it all started when I was some years back. I was in a really tough financial situation,
okay,
and I was a young father trying to provide. I had three kids. My wife, she came with two, and then we had our third together.
okay.
And one day, I'll never forget this day. I came home from work and I walked into the house and I went straight into the kitchen and I found my wife there in tears.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I went to say, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? But I kind of already knew. I kind of already knew it was rent day, and we were short again and we were about to get evicted. So yeah, that
Been very
that
hard.
yeah, that really hit me hard. And that that kind of changed everything for me from that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And you know what? Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, how did like that's obviously very traumatic. How
Yeah,
did that moment make you decide kind of how did that basically what changed in that moment?
basically that moment was kind of the impetus for me to change everything. I decided in that moment that we had to get our own house.
Okay.
Like, even though it didn't seem obtainable at the time, it just didn't
Yeah.
seem possible. I mean, we couldn't even pay the rent.
Okay.
I had no idea how we were going to do it. I just decided that we were going to do it, that I needed to do it for not just myself,
Yes.
but my family, for our future, for everything. And so that's
Amazing.
kind of the moment that changed everything. Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
my wife said to me, she said, I just, we just need to get our own place. I don't want to feel like this anymore. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And it's interesting. So we talk a lot about on this podcast, but really anyone that talks to me for 5 seconds. Brian Buffini is with Buffini and Company, and he is coaching for real estate agents. And he talks about that moment when like that tipping point when it's I've had all I can take, I can't take it anymore. And that is when real change happens because that nothing beats that why, like that passion and a strong why, like you are unstoppable. So,
yeah.
so then what happened?
So then I got to work looking for places. We were in Victoria at the time,
Okay.
which, if you know, and if your listeners know, is not the cheapest city
No.
in Canada. Not even back then. It was still expensive, and we just like looked around and we tried to find something that we could afford, and there was really nothing. So we kept looking, and then found something an hour and a half ish outside of Victoria that we thought we could afford. That was in
Okay.
a little town called Ladysmith. I don't
Okay.
know if you're familiar with, but it was kind of like, at the time, just like a small community, and houses were pretty inexpensive. We actually found a house for like $100,000, less than 100,000.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
but so we still we still couldn't make it happen. The bank said no.
Yeah.
We basically had almost nothing scraped together, and we just like, they said no. And I talked to a mortgage broker who also was having a hard time. And then the realtor that we had been in touch with actually put me in touch with this other mortgage broker by the name of Chris Kennedy,
Okay.
and he was able to help. He was able to help us get something,
Amazing.
and get something pretty decent actually, and that worked. And so
Okay.
that's how we were able to get into our first home.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. And I think that's, like, I mean, we'll go through the rest of your story, but at a time when, so if you're a realtor, you're dealing with clients who are struggling right now because affordability is a huge deal. But if you are not a realtor and you're trying to buy something as an entrepreneur, like it's very hard, like the tests and the hoops you have to jump through. So, I mean, from where you guys were, where you couldn't pay your rent, then all of a sudden you meet this broker who's able to help you buy a house. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Okay.
exactly. And
So
then yeah, go ahead.
no, so I was just gonna say, so I'm very excited. Sorry, I'm all hopped up. So you got into this house. You guys are super excited. This is in Ladysmith.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
in Ladysmith, you're in the house. You get the house. You don't have to worry about your rent payments, but now you're paying mortgage, I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
Um, so how did you go from that to investing in real estate and then making that part of your business?
Right. So what we did is, it was kind of, I guess, fortunate in a way, the timing of it. So the house we had bought, like I'd mentioned, it was quite inexpensive.
Yes.
And it was a good little house, but it had some cosmetic issues, and the market was kind of starting to pick up a little bit in Ladysmith at that time. And so we just decided, after being there for a short time, that we were gonna kind of fix it up, and we were
Right.
able to scrape together, a few $1,000 and give it a bit of a facelift and make
Nice.
it look nice. And we actually ended up selling it and doing pretty good on it. And so
Mm.
then we found another place that needed a little more work than that one did, but
Yeah.
again, at a pretty good price. And so that's kind of how the ball got rolling. And then yeah, and of course Chris came in again and helped us get mortgages whenever we kind of needed one, because he was able to find, like, creative financing, like
Yeah.
privates and things like that, when we were still getting turned down, and we didn't always have, like, the biggest down payment, or
Right.
and obviously income was an issue, having to prove income from a job and all that kind of thing. So I'm sure a lot of your
Yeah.
listeners are familiar with that. But yeah, so that's how it got started, and then just kept building from there.
That is so cool. Now, how did you meet Chris? So I know a lot of the times we do a lot of like referrals between either realtors or businesses, but how did you guys actually come across this amazing person that helped you guys?
So yeah, he was actually referred to me by a friend realtor,
Yeah.
a friend of ours who was our realtor at the time, that got us into the first place. He's like, why don't you try this guy and see
Yeah.
what he can do? Because yeah, we tried another broker, and he was, he was an experienced, I guess, enough broker, but he didn't have, I don't know, I guess he didn't have access to certain, types of lenders and things like that that would be able to help us in the situation we were in. So
Yes.
yeah,
Well, and I think that's the thing. So sometimes it's important to know that every broker will have their own channels, right? So they have regular, like the ones that everyone has, but it is up to people to kind of build those relationships. And I love that it was a referral relationship that brought you this wonderful connection, because that's what it's all about. Like if we're wondering, how do you build that business? You ended up, like, it's a win-win because you have this great relationship, and it helped your family to buy and create. But also the realtor gets like a kind of a thumbs up too, because now like you're forever probably grateful for that connection.
absolutely,
Amazing.
absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so I guess I don't want to get ahead of myself for questions, but so you kind of went there, and then how many houses did you end up doing this with?
We did this with, like, I guess, maybe four different places. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so if someone's listening and they're just like, they can't even scrape together rent or a down payment, what would your advice be? Like how, like, because you went from like here to obviously like a very different situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what my advice would be to find, right people to help you.
Yeah.
I know this sounds a little easier said than done, but it's just, You just need to make the decision to go forward, and
Yeah.
then um, keep your mind open to opportunities, and just look to surround yourself with the right people,
Yeah.
and find people that, because there are people that can help. Like, we didn't think that we could do it, and then it turned out that we were able to, right? So
Yes. And I
yeah,
think it also, like you mentioned that you and your wife were also, you put the work in, right? So yes, you were able to scrape together some money, but you also put the work into fixing up the house.
yeah.
Um, I have to say I'm distracted right now. I just noticed your Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa poster. Very, very cool. My husband does he got into boxing. We actually run a big boxing event
Oh,
in
nice.
called the Fight to End Homelessness. But yeah, it's like I'm on alert for all boxing things because he became a coach. And yeah, very cool poster. Is there significance for why it's up or just
Um, yeah, I just like the Rocky story, and I just like, yeah,
yeah,
it's just it's inspirational.
absolutely. And do
Yeah.
you know Sylvester Stallone's story about Rocky?
No, I don't know the details of that. What's the
So
story?
it's pretty, so Sylvester Stallone, he wrote the script. So he was just, this is like way, way back when he had no money. He had, and like no money. He could barely pay his rent. He had like, like less than nothing, but he wrote this script and he knew that he wanted to be Rocky. And a few people like after working, a few people offered to buy it, but he wasn't not with him in it because he was being typecast as this like thug. And he's like, no, absolutely not. Like, I will not. Like, I will, like, this is my why. I will be Rocky no matter what. And finally, I think apologies to anyone that knows the story like the back of their hand. I believe I heard it from Buffini as well, but I believe he ended up funding it himself. And it was like super, like there was really not a lot of money going into this thing. Um, and he was able to do it and then look at it now, right? Like he just believed, he's like, no matter what. And he had like, couldn't pay his rent. He had nothing to eat. And you'd think he would take the money, but he's like, no, like this is my destiny. I will be this character. And he was, and he is changing lives still to this day. So it's very cool.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure it's better told if you look it up, but that's the gist.
yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Um, okay. So, now if someone's overwhelmed by the mortgage process, I guess one of the things would be like a lot of realtors are going to be listening to this. So what would you say a realtor can do to help get their client a better mortgage or a mortgage that they can even get into something? And how do you work with them to make that happen?
Well, so I should backtrack just a hair.
Yes.
Throughout the years after we got secure in our situation, and we were doing some real estate investment and flipping and things like that, one of the things that I did was I got into marketing and business and building businesses as
Okay.
well. And so I actually ended up um, being able to partner with Chris. And
Ah, very
yeah,
cool. Okay.
yeah, so I actually ended up partnering with Chris and bringing his sort of unique skill set as a broker all across the country, in the form of Great Canadian Mortgage Co., which is our company,
Amazing.
and we're able to help people all across the country. So basically, what I would say to realtors is, and people that are struggling with the mortgage process, is that
Yeah.
you could come to someone like us and we could help you get a mortgage faster, a better mortgage, like faster,
Yeah,
and without the stress, and without
for
three, four,
sure.
five different bank appointments. And for realtors specifically, bringing that to your clients and getting them approved faster is obviously a benefit, and getting them into a better mortgage is obviously a benefit.
For
And
sure.
that's yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I think that's really cool. And so one thing I would say for anyone on this side of the country, and I know from brokers and even banks, um, having people that can help in another time zone So I know, like, let's say like our banks will close at 5 p.m. Technically speaking, you guys can still help until like 8 p.m. And this when we have timelines, um, and I don't know if that's the same in your experience, but in my experience, if someone's working on a file and they're having a hard time, 5 p.m. is kind of like they have to stop working on it unless they have an office on the West Coast, in which case we've all of a sudden bought ourselves 3 more hours to try and get something done. Is that this similar situation?
Exactly. And yeah, that's been part of one thing that we strive to do is to just streamline the entire process and
Okay.
just be able to get files completed faster. So
Okay.
that's like a big drive for us, is to get files done in record time. And
Fantastic.
yeah, it's not always
Um,
possible with the banks. Sometimes, the lenders
yeah,
can slow things up, but we eliminate as many of those bottlenecks as possible on our side,
that's
including working
awesome.
around the clock.
That's that's the life of an entrepreneur. I totally get that. And did the name of your company, was that kind of, did Chris have that already and then you guys partnered, or was that you and like together you guys created this new brand?
That was together that we created the new brand. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's really cool. When I hear that, I thought of like the American dream or the Canadian dream. Like it
Yeah.
sounds really like authentic and like something that everyone wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Um, what would you say? So other than the speed, and you were talking earlier about Chris's connections and probably your connections now too, what would you
Mhm.
say really sets you apart?
The ease, just the
Okay.
ease of the entire process. So,
Okay.
people can throw an app together online in just a couple of minutes. And then we've got a proprietary process on the back end that seeks out lenders. We've got a network of over 200 lenders, and
Fantastic.
yeah,
Okay.
all across the country. And so basically we are like, our process matches up the client's file with the best potential lenders. And
Yeah.
then so that saves us time. And then we can submit to those ones
Okay.
and see what comes back. And then we still offer personalized process for sure. Like,
Yeah.
but we just save a lot of time on that end, and like, rifling through to try to figure out who's going to be the best option for
Yes.
the client. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
that's what sets us apart.
amazing. And I think that's right now, like time is such a commodity for people, and none of us have enough time. And it does feel like everything is getting faster and faster and faster. And I think people, anything that can save time is is good. Because it's just, especially when you're stressed out about buying a house, um, every second feels like a month, right?
Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure. No, I love that you do that. Okay, so if you were listening to people that are going through something similar to what you experienced on your
Mhm.
journey, um, what would what would you kind of say to them? Kind of like a message of hope, maybe.
I would say if you're going through something similar to what I went through, just to know that you're not alone and you don't have to do it by yourself, and
Yes.
that there are people, even if you don't know them at the time, it might be not somebody in your immediate circle, friends, family. There are people out there that are, willing to help you, and just, yeah, you don't have to do it alone.
Amazing. And I think sometimes when people are struggling, it does feel like very a lonely situation. So really being that lighthouse in the storm, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So, and if someone's facing the financial struggle, so I know that you had your aha moment where you walked in and you were like, I'm not going to take this anymore. Um, if you could, because and then you went for it. Other than finding Chris and kind of making the decision with your wife that you were going to buy, is there anything else that you changed?
Yeah, I guess I would say that I changed my level of responsibility
Okay.
in my mind, and and then that translated into actions as well. Um,
Amazing.
right. Because then it wasn't just like, okay, I'm going to work and I'm tired now and I'm done. It's
Yep.
like, okay, I'm going to work and I'm tired, but I'm not done.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to figure out how to do that, and I'm going to figure out how to do this. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm actually listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger's book right now, Be Useful.
Oh, okay.
If you have a chance to listen to it, it's basically exactly what you're saying. It's one of his lessons on his philosophy on life is to work your ass off.
Yeah.
Right. And that like it's not about, oh, like I feel like resting or whatever. If you want something and you really want it, you go for it, like all in. And
Yeah,
it's really just
absolutely.
exactly what you did.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so how can someone reach out to you if they want it, if they have questions, if they want to refer someone to you, or if someone's listening and they want to work with you for their own mortgage? What's the best way to reach out?
So the best way to reach out is to go to GET
Yep.
dot Great Canadian Mortgage dot co.
So
And
get.greatcanadianmortgage.co.
co. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And then, yeah, you can, someone can start an application right there, and
Okay.
we'll reach out within, minutes usually,
Perfect.
and help them out.
And if they
And
have questions, so if let's say it's a realtor and they don't have a referral for you yet,
yeah,
is that the same website? And then they would just say contact you?
no, if somebody's got questions, they can go to www.greatcanadianmortgage.co.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And
Very cool.
there's a contact form there, and they can reach out and I'll get that.
Amazing. Amazing. So, Matt, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And I've learned a lot. I definitely think that a lot of people can benefit from exactly what you're saying, from ease of process, less stress, saving time, and from your network. And you've been there, right? So I think that's the best part. You're not just kind of going for it, going through the motions, like you've really been there. And I think that that's amazing. So we will leave it there. Please contact Matt if you guys have questions. I am Krystal Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor. This is Realtor Life, and we're so happy you are here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.